What if the real enemy is not the world outside, but the voice inside your head? Have you ever stood on the edge of a life-changing decision only to be paralyzed by your own thoughts? Most men don't fail because they're weak. They fail because their mind isn't trained to lead them. Your mind can either be your most powerful weapon or your greatest liability. Most men never grasp this. The way you think shapes everything: success or failure, strength or weakness, confidence or fear. Yet far too often, our thoughts are left unchecked, allowed to spiral, scattered like leaves in the wind. We hesitate, we overthink, we get pulled by emotions in every direction, and somewhere in the storm, we lose our grip. Maybe you've felt it, that creeping sense of paralysis, when your mind becomes a battlefield. One thought urges you forward, another yanks you back. Before long, you're stuck, trapped in indecision, drowning in your own mind. But here's the truth. Clarity isn't a gift. It's a skill, one that can be practiced, sharpened, and mastered. And when you do, something shifts. Your thoughts become sharp, your confidence steady. Decisions are no longer guesses. They're deliberate, focused, and immovable. Yet most men never get there. They remain prisoners to noise, to distractions, to impulses. Their mind doesn't serve them, it rules them. That ends today, because once you learn to cut through the chaos, to silence the inner noise, strip away doubt, and see with clean, piercing clarity, you unlock something rare: the ability to command your own mind. This is the foundation. Master it, and nothing will shake you. Let me take you back to a moment in my life. A major decision loomed ahead, one that could change everything. A career leap, a risky relationship, a bold move that could either elevate me or break me. But instead of acting with conviction, I froze. The battlefield in my head roared louder than ever. One part of me urged, go. The other screamed, wait. The more I thought, the deeper I sank, into fear, into doubt, into analysis, so endless it felt like quicksand. When I finally acted, it wasn't with clarity, it was with exhaustion. I had let mental chaos drag me down, and my final choice was a rushed escape, not a clear decision. This is the danger of an overloaded mind. You don't think, you react. You don't choose with certainty. You guess and hope. And the worst part, you stay trapped in the same cycle, again and again. Most men live their entire lives that way, but a Stoic mind is different. A Stoic mind is calm, deliberate, and ruthless. In eliminating distractions, it doesn't chase every fleeting emotion or thought. It understands that clarity is not a trait. It's a discipline, something you forge, piece by piece. And if you're ready to build it, then let's step into the first part of the journey, the mental clarity framework. Just as we began to understand the power of mental clarity, one truth became clear: mastery starts with a system. Picture this: your mind is like an inbox. Throughout the day, it fills up with everything: worries, ideas, reminders, fears, random distractions. And just like a cluttered inbox left unchecked, your mind starts to overflow. Stress builds, focus fades, indecision creeps in, but it doesn't have to stay that way. Just as you would organize a messy workspace or clear out old emails, your mind, too, can be reset. Every single day, here's how. Take just 5 minutes at the end of your day. Sit down, breathe, and write down everything weighing on your mind. every unfinished task, every nagging thought, every to-do and doubt. Put it all on paper, get it out of your head, then process it. Ask yourself, what needs immediate action? What requires planning? What's simply noise that can be deleted? The moment you do this, something shifts. You'll feel lighter, more grounded, more in control. Because a cluttered mind is a restless one. But a clear mind? That's where real power lies. Every decision you make, no matter how small, consumes energy. And the more trivial choices you face each day, the more drained your mind becomes. This slow drain is called decision fatigue, the silent killer of clarity. Think about it. How much time do we lose just deciding what to wear, what to eat, or when to begin? By the time an important decision finally arrives, your brain is already tired. The solution? Automate the small things. Wear the same kind of outfit daily. Plan your meals ahead of time. Set fixed blocks for exercise and deep work. Free up your mental energy so you can focus on decisions that actually matter. But it's not just about reducing decisions. It's about silencing the noise. Most men are drowning in it. Endless scrolling, clickbait headlines, opinions from people who don't matter. They consume so much mental junk, they can't even hear their own thoughts anymore. A Stoic mind doesn't allow this. It filters. It's ruthless with distractions. If something doesn't add value, it's cut. Unfollow accounts that steal your focus. Skip news that stirs up anxiety. Stop scrolling just to feel busy. Be deliberate about what you let in, because what you consume eventually consumes you. Before the world hijacks your attention, take it back. Start each morning with a clean slate. Sit in silence. Just 5 minutes. Write down the 3 things that truly matter today. Breathe deeply, slowly, intentionally, because if you don't take control of your mind, someone else will. Your mind is like a blade. Either you sharpen it or it becomes dull, worn down by distraction. Most people think clarity is a gift. It's not. It's a craft, a discipline, a daily training. A weak mind is scattered and reactive. A strong mind is focused and still. So ask yourself, which one are you building? Because the next time life throws you into a high-stakes decision in the last part, we explored how a trained mind brings clarity and direction. But what happens when that clarity is tested? When the stakes are high and pressure strikes fast? When a critical decision appears, one that could change everything? You won't have the luxury of time. You'll either trust your mind or be enslaved by it. And the first test, your emotions. Control your emotions before they control you. Your emotions can be your greatest source of power or your greatest liability. When understood and harnessed, they fuel resilience, discipline, and focus. But when left unchecked, they erupt into impulsive choices, regret, and often self-sabotage. Here's the trap. Most men believe emotions just happen. That anger, fear, or frustration come like storms you simply have to weather. But that's a lie. A Stoic sees emotions for what they really are. Not commands, but data. They inform you. They show you what matters. But they don't get to steer the wheel. Think back to the last time anger took over. Maybe you were in an argument with someone close to you, or maybe it was a careless driver swerving into your lane, or even a cold passive-aggressive email from your boss. Your first instinct? Fight back. Your fingers hover over the keyboard. ready to fire off a fiery response. But something inside you says, wait, you step away. You breathe. You give the moment space to cool. And when you return, the fire has dimmed. Perspective returns. You see the bigger picture, and you realize that reacting emotionally would have only fueled the flames. That simple pause, that's the difference between a man in control and a man ruled by impulse. It's not about intelligence. It's about discipline. The discipline to pause, to reflect, and then to respond, not react. And in a world engineered to provoke you, notifications, arguments, breaking news, mastering your emotions isn't just helpful, it's survival. Too many bad decisions are born in emotional heat. Poor investments, broken relationships, career-ending mistakes. Most of them don't come from lack of knowledge, but from lack of control. A man without emotional discipline is like a ship with no captain, tossed and turned by every wave of impulse, drifting wherever the storm blows. But a Stoic? He doesn't bury his emotions. He understands them. He watches them rise and fall and chooses his course with precision. Anger? It's just raw energy. It can be channeled. Fear? A signal. It can be studied. Excitement? It's just heightened emotion. It can be grounded. Emotions are signals, nothing more. They give you information about your environment, but they don't make your choices for you. To gain true control, you must master the Stoic pause. When emotion surges, previously, we explored the importance of emotional discipline, of stepping back instead of charging forward when feelings surge. Now let's look closer at the tool that empowers that control, the Stoic pause. When a strong emotion hits, anger, fear, or excitement, pause. Take a breath, step back, and ask yourself one powerful question. What would my highest self do in this moment? That simple pause is the dividing line between impulse and intention. It's where clarity begins, because once you act, there's no rewind button. Words spoken in anger, decisions made in fear, those moments can't be undone. But a pause? It gives you a choice. Mastering this pause isn't easy. It takes repetition, self-awareness, and yes, failure. You'll slip. You'll react when you shouldn't. But every time you choose patience over reaction, every time you reflect before responding, you sharpen your self-control, and something incredible begins to happen. You start noticing patterns. You realize that most of the things that used to make you angry weren't even worth your time. The fears that once held you back, they rarely became reality. And most importantly, you begin to experience your emotions, not become them. You stop being ruled and start leading. One powerful mental tool to reinforce this is the 5-year rule. Before reacting emotionally, ask yourself, will this matter in 5 years? If the answer is yes, then respond with care and thoughtfulness. But if the answer is no, and it often is, then let it go. Move on. Most arguments don't matter. Most frustrations are fleeting. But your response, that's permanent. That shapes your character. A truly great man is not someone without emotion. He's someone who knows when to use his emotions, when to ignore them, and when to redirect them. He doesn't let frustration drag him into meaningless fights. He doesn't let fear freeze him from acting. He doesn't let excitement blind him to the risks ahead. He feels everything but is controlled by nothing. That is emotional mastery. That is the invisible line between a man who lives with purpose and a man who lives at the mercy of his moods. So next time you feel anger building, fear tightening its grip, or excitement rushing your decisions, pause, observe, choose your response. Because when you control your emotions, you begin to control your entire life. And now we turn to the next key: simplifying your thinking. Cutting through the noise, as the philosopher Epictetus once said, "If you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Most men drown in mental chaos. They mistake complexity for intelligence, overanalyze every decision, and flood their minds with distractions that add no real value, but true wisdom. It's clean, it's simple. The sharpest minds don't tangle with clutter, they slice through it. They remove what's unnecessary and focus only on what truly matters. Think of your mind as a room. If it's filled with junk, random thoughts, unresolved worries, distractions, you can't think clearly. You waste time searching for clarity. You trip over confusion. You feel overwhelmed. But if that room is clean, organized, and minimal, everything changes. Focus sharpens. Purpose returns. So now, ask yourself, what's crowding your mind right now? Previously, we saw how simplifying your thinking can cut through mental noise like a blade through fog. Now, let's go deeper into the mental clutter that holds most people back, and how a Stoic approach clears the way forward. Is your mind currently calm, focused, and razor sharp? Or is it overwhelmed, cluttered with worries, doubts, outside, opinions, constant notifications, and endless complexity? Most men live in a state of mental hoarding. They absorb useless information all day long. They scroll through social media without purpose. They read news about things they can't control. They dwell on comments and opinions that don't truly matter. And then they wonder, why can't I think clearly? But a Stoic doesn't live like that. A Stoic mind is like a finely honed sword, sharp, deliberate, and never dulled by excess. It's not dragged into petty distractions. It doesn't entertain every thought, like a warrior choosing his battles. The Stoic chooses what enters his mind. If you want clarity, there's only one path: simplify. Cut the noise. Every day your attention is under siege. Opinions, headlines, ads, pings, alerts, all fighting to invade your mental space. But here's the truth. Most of it is worthless. It doesn't help you grow. It doesn't help you decide. It doesn't bring peace or power. It only clutters. Ask yourself, when was the last time you mindlessly scrolled your phone post after post, video after video? Did it sharpen your thinking? Did it strengthen your mindset? Or did it just drain you, leaving you distracted and numb? Mental clarity doesn't come from knowing more. It comes from filtering better. Most of what you consume is noise. Most opinions don't matter. Most distractions are optional and self-inflicted. If you want to think with clarity, you must be ruthless about what you allow into your mental space. Unfollow accounts that add no value. Stop engaging in pointless debates that go nowhere. Limit your exposure to the news. Stay informed, but don't let the world's anxiety become your own. Protect your mind like a fortress. Let in only what strengthens you, because a cluttered mind is not a strong mind. It's a confused one. The more you allow in, the harder it becomes to decide, to act, to move forward. If you've ever felt stuck on a decision, it likely wasn't due to a lack of intelligence. It was because you had too many competing thoughts fighting for space. Remember, complexity is the enemy of execution. If you want to act with confidence, then simplify. Make your priorities obvious. Define what truly matters, and strip away everything that doesn't. Simplicity isn't a weakness, it's a weapon. The world may try to convince you otherwise, that intelligence means knowing everything, that wisdom comes from consuming more. But the Stoic knows the truth. Clarity doesn't come from adding, it comes from cutting. And next we'll explore how to take this mental sharpness and turn it into precise, powerful action. In the previous section, we uncovered a vital truth. Clarity comes from cutting away, not adding more. A strong mind isn't the one that absorbs the most, but the one that filters sharply, focuses intensely, and moves with decisive intention. So, today, take ownership of your mind. Remove what isn't necessary. Block out distractions. Strip away everything that clouds your focus, because the clearer your mind, the stronger your decisions become. Now, let's explore a powerful technique that transforms this clarity into action. Train yourself to pause. Welcome to the decision clarity gap. Picture this. A man is sitting in a tense meeting. His boss, in front of the entire team, questions his competence. The words sting. Blood rushes to his face. His fists clench against the table. His pride screams, "Defend yourself! Say something! Anything!" He's 1 second away from speaking, but something inside holds him back. He pauses. He inhales, deep and steady. He lets the tension fall away. He resists the urge to react. The meeting ends. Instead of making a scene, he approaches his boss privately, calmly. He presents his side with facts, not feelings. And something remarkable happens. There's no argument, no conflict, and no damage. Just quiet control. Most men never reach this point. Most men react. They snap. They speak before thinking. They make reckless decisions in the heat of the moment because they mistake speed for strength. But the truth, real power lies in the pause, in the tiny gap between stimulus and response, between what happens to you and how you choose to respond. This moment of stillness, of control, is the decision clarity gap. And it's what separates those who lead their emotions from those who are led by them. Think back to the last time you made a decision you later regretted. Maybe it was a harsh text sent too quickly, a job quit in frustration, a purchase made out of emotion, not logic. What if, just for a moment, you had paused? What if you had created even 10 seconds of space? Space to breathe, space to reflect, space to respond from wisdom instead of reacting from emotion? A weak mind acts on the first emotion. A strong mind waits for the second thought, the wiser thought, the one that isn't clouded by pride, fear, or adrenaline. This is why the Stoics trained themselves relentlessly to pause. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, ruled not just with might, but with restraint. He didn't let anger or fear dictate his actions. His true control wasn't over armies, but over himself. Because here's the truth. A reaction is not a decision. It's a surrender. A surrender of your clarity. A surrender of your power. And yes, pausing is hard. When you're insulted, when you feel cornered, when pressure tightens like a vice, everything inside you wants to strike back, to lash out, to do something now. But in that very moment, in the last section, we learned that mastering the pause, resisting. The first impulse can mean the difference between chaos and control. Now, let's dive deeper into what that control looks like in practice. In that split second, when everything in you screams, "React now," the real power lies in not reacting, because the ability to delay that reaction, that is what builds discipline. That is what sharpens clarity. That is what gives birth to unshakable confidence. Picture a seasoned swordsman in the heat of battle. The inexperienced fighter swings wildly, striking at every opportunity, burning through his energy, exposing himself with every reckless move. But the master, he waits, calm and composed, his blade held steady, his eyes sharp. He reads his opponent, he watches, he waits. And when the perfect moment reveals itself, he strikes, clean, precise, devastating. Your mind must operate the same way. If you swing at everything that provokes you, every distraction, every offense, every opportunity, you'll wear yourself out chasing what doesn't matter. But if you learn to pause, to watch, to choose your moments with care, you'll move with purpose. You'll act only when it truly counts. So how do you train this discipline? Simple. Start small. When someone interrupts you mid-conversation, pause. When frustration rises in traffic or during a disagreement, pause. When a shiny new opportunity shows up, pause before jumping in. The pause is like a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger and longer it becomes. And soon, you'll begin to see what most people miss. Most situations don't need your reaction. Most battles aren't worth your energy. Most words are better left unsaid. The world will push you, poke at your pride, tempt you into meaningless conflict. But if you can hold that line, if you can remain unmoved until you choose, you win. You become the master, not the puppet. A man who can pause is a man who is in command of his life. But a man who reacts to every slight, every impulse, every emotion, he's not free. He's imprisoned by his own mind. So, next time you feel the heat rise, when that urge builds to snap back, fight, or rush into action, stop. Let the emotion settle. Let your vision clear. And when the path becomes obvious, act, not out of emotion, but out of mastery. Now, once you've mastered the pause, the next challenge emerges. How do you decide what to act on? That's where we turn to the power of principles. Previously, we uncovered the power of emotional restraint and how mastering the pause grants you control. But once you've paused, once you've calmed the storm, how do you decide what to do next? The answer lies in your principles. Emotions are loud. They'll push you into battles you should avoid. Excitement will cloud your judgment, making risks invisible. Fear will urge you to retreat when you should stand firm. But principles are steady. They don't scream, they guide. A Stoic doesn't ask, "How do I feel about this?" He asks, "What is the right thing to do?" Principles act as a compass. They keep you aligned even when everything around you feels unstable, when emotions rise, when pressure tightens, when uncertainty creeps in. Principles slice through the noise and point to clarity. A weak man lets emotions steer his decisions. His direction changes with the wind. If he's afraid, he runs. If he's angry, he lashes out. If he's unsure, he freezes. He becomes whatever his strongest emotion is in that moment. But a strong man, he sets his course and holds it, not because it's always easy, not because it always feels good, but because he knows what he stands for. A weak man reacts. A strong man chooses. A weak man seeks comfort. A strong man seeks truth. A weak man looks for approval. A strong man lives by his principles. This is why the Stoics trained themselves not just to feel, but to think clearly, to act with intention, to never let emotion become command, because they knew the truth. Emotions are waves, powerful, yes, but temporary. A wave may crash violently, but it always fades. And you cannot build a life on crashing waves. You must build it on solid ground. So when a wave of fear, anger, or frustration rushes toward you, see it for what it is: a passing force, not a guiding one, something to observe, not something to obey. To live this way, you must define your principles. You must know your values, your boundaries, your non-negotiables. What do you believe in? What guides your choices when no one is watching? What lines will you never cross? Most people don't take the time to answer these questions, and that's why they're easily influenced, easily shaken, easily pulled off course. A man without principles is like a ship without a rudder, at the mercy of every wave, every wind, every trend. But a man with a code, a solid internal compass, moves forward with certainty, no matter how loud the storm becomes. Because if you don't define your principles, the world will define them for you. Society, trends, social media, the opinions of others, these will shape your thinking, whether you're aware of it or not. A man without principles has no control. But a Stoic, he doesn't waste energy asking, "How do I feel about this?" He asks one thing: what does my code say? Because in the end, your feelings will shift, your emotions will rise and fall. But your code, that's what anchors you, and next, we'll explore exactly how to build that inner code, one decision at a time. Previously, we discovered that living by a personal code, clear and unwavering, gives you direction when emotions and chaos try to pull you off course. Now it's time to ask a deeper question. Are your choices guided by that code or by impulse? If your principles are strong, they will not fail you. They become your foundation, the difference between those who lead and those who are led, between those who move forward with purpose and those who drift aimlessly, between those who remain steady in the storm and those who crumble the moment pressure hits. So pause and reflect. Are you reacting to life or deciding how to live it? Because at the end of the day, it's simple. You either control your decisions or your emotions will control you. Now, there's one more obstacle standing in the way of clarity and confidence, one that paralyzes more people than anything else: uncertainty. Most people wait. They wait for the perfect timing, the perfect plan, the perfect level of confidence. But here's the truth no one tells you. That moment will never come. Life is unpredictable. It always has been. Every decision you make carries some degree of risk. There's no crystal ball, no guarantees, and yet people stay frozen, stuck in place, clinging to the illusion that if they just wait a little longer, everything will become clear. But certainty? It's a myth. Look throughout history. The greatest minds, leaders, warriors, they didn't act because they knew everything. They acted despite uncertainty. They moved forward not because they were comfortable, but because they refused to be controlled by fear. A Stoic knows this. He understands that waiting for perfect clarity is just a clever disguise for fear. a way to postpone discomfort, a way to avoid risk. But discomfort is the price of growth. Too many men fall into the trap of overthinking. They research endlessly, analyze from every angle, convinced that with just a bit more time, the answer will magically appear. But often that thinking isn't strategy. It's fear pretending to be logic. And what happens? Opportunities slip away. Momentum fades, confidence shrinks, and life keeps moving without them. A weak mind insists on knowing everything before taking action. But a strong mind? It acts, knowing that action creates clarity. If you wait until you're 100% ready, you will wait forever. And while you're hesitating, someone else, perhaps less prepared but braver, is already moving forward. Why do most people hesitate? Because they're afraid of failing, afraid of choosing wrong, afraid of what they might regret. But what they don't realize is this: indecision is a decision. Every moment you spend hesitating is a choice to stay where you are, a choice to let life pass you by, a choice to remain stagnant while others evolve, adapt, and rise. So, how do you break free from this paralysis? In the previous part, we saw how hesitation born from fear can leave you stuck, paralyzed, while others move ahead. Now let's take the next step forward with a Stoic mindset. A Stoic doesn't fear making mistakes. He doesn't waste time chasing perfection. Why? Because he understands a timeless truth. Every decision is a teacher. If he succeeds, he learns. If he fails, he learns even more. The only real failure? Refusing to act. There's a reason Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He knew that we can't control what the future holds. We can't predict how every situation will unfold. But what we can control is our next move, our response, our effort, our courage. Imagine this. You're standing at the edge of a dense forest. The path ahead disappears into shadow. You can't see what lies beyond the first few steps. The weak mind hesitates, paralyzed by uncertainty, waiting for the moment when the entire path becomes visible. But the strong mind, it moves anyway. Because here's the truth. You don't need to see the whole path. You only need to take the next step. Most people spend their lives waiting for clarity, for certainty, for some magical green light that never comes. But clarity doesn't come from thinking, it comes from moving. Answers are revealed through action, not endless speculation. A warrior doesn't step onto the battlefield with full knowledge of his enemy's every move. A great leader doesn't act only when all risk has been removed. They move forward despite the uncertainty because standing still simply isn't an option. The same applies to you. If you're stuck on a decision, stop asking, "What if?" Start asking, "What now?" Life won't hand you perfect conditions. It won't erase every risk. It won't give you a guarantee. And yet, that is no excuse to stay where you are, because in the end, you don't control outcomes. You only control effort. You don't control what's ahead. You control what's next. And the greatest risk of all? It's not choosing wrong. It's choosing nothing. Now, as you move forward, there's one more discipline to embrace, one that transforms every action, success, and mistake into long-term wisdom. Review, adapt, improve. In the previous part, we uncovered a powerful truth. Clarity doesn't come from standing still. It comes from moving, deciding, and taking action. But action alone isn't enough. To grow, you must also reflect every decision you make, every reaction, every habit, every emotion. They all leave behind clues. Clues about your strengths, clues about your blind spots, clues about the areas where you are disciplined and where you are still weak. But here's the catch. Only those who pause to examine their own thinking will ever see those clues. A man who never reviews his choices is destined to repeat his mistakes. But a man who questions his assumptions, dissects his failures, and adjusts his path, he becomes unstoppable. Think of a warrior. He doesn't sharpen his sword once and expect it to stay sharp forever. He hones it constantly, refining the edge, testing it against resistance, adjusting it for battle. Your mind works the same way. If you never challenge your thoughts, question your beliefs, or upgrade your strategies, your mind will grow dull. You'll fall into weak automatic patterns, repeating the same reactions, thinking in loops, never evolving. That's why Marcus Aurelius, arguably the most powerful man of his time, took time every day to write in his journal. He didn't do it to complain. He didn't do it to punish himself. He did it to review, to reflect, and to refine his judgment. He understood. Growth requires constant internal calibration. If the Emperor of Rome made time for self-review, what excuse do we have? You must create your own system of reflection. After every significant decision, take a few moments to ask yourself, did I act with logic or emotion? Did I let distractions steer me off course? Did I stay true to my principles, or did I fold under pressure? Without reflection, there is no improvement, and without improvement, there is no growth. But awareness is only the beginning. The real transformation comes next. Adaptation. Most people resist change. They hold tightly to outdated habits, worn out beliefs, and familiar patterns, not because they're effective, but because they're comfortable. They'd rather stay safe in failure than risk discomfort for growth. But a Stoic is different. A Stoic isn't loyal to opinions. He's loyal to truth. If he finds a better way to think, a better way to act, a better way to live, he doesn't resist it. He embraces it. Rigid thinking is weakness. A strong mind is flexible. It bends without breaking. It adjusts to new information. It welcomes correction. It actively seeks improvement. The Stoics knew this. They didn't fear change. They refined their strategies, evolved their mindset, and constantly pushed for deeper clarity. And in the next section, we'll explore exactly how they turned that clarity into consistent, powerful discipline. Previously, we explored how true strength lies not in rigidity, but in the ability to evolve. The Stoics understood this deeply. They didn't confuse stubbornness with power. Instead, they practiced flexibility of mind, refinement of thought, and constant improvement. The question is, will you do the same? Will you pause to review your decisions or blindly repeat your mistakes? Will you refine your mindset or cling to outdated beliefs that no longer serve you? Will you adapt and grow or remain stuck in place, comfortable but unchanged? Your mind is your most powerful asset, but like any tool, it needs attention. It must be maintained, sharpened, and improved daily. So, review your thoughts. Adapt your strategies. Upgrade your thinking. Because the moment you stop learning, the moment you stop evolving, you stop truly living. Clarity is not a gift. It's a skill. It's built thought by thought, decision by decision, reflection by reflection. Most men go through life on autopilot. They react instead of reason. They hesitate instead of decide. They drift instead of lead. But you, not anymore. Now you've been equipped. You've learned how to cut through the clutter. You've learned how to calm your emotions. You've learned to simplify your thoughts, to pause before reacting, and to make decisions grounded in principle, not impulse. But knowledge alone means nothing without action. You must train it. Every time uncertainty appears, remind yourself you don't need to see the full path. Just take the next step. Every time emotions flare, remember the first thought is impulse. The second thought is wisdom. Every time doubt whispers, you don't need perfection. You only need to be better than yesterday. This is how clarity is trained. This is how a strong Stoic mind is forged. This is how you build a calm, focused, unshakable way of thinking, one that will guide you for life. And now, I want to hear from you. What's the biggest challenge you face when it comes to clear thinking? When has hesitation held you back? What lesson has shaped the way you make decisions? Share your story below. Because clarity doesn't just come from thinking, it comes from reflecting, connecting, and learning from experience. And your experience, it matters.